All right, so I'm here to introduce to you your new friend, Rafiki. But first, let me introduce myself for those who don't know me already. I'm Sabine. I am the Research and Development Lead at COIL. So Rafiki. Maybe you've been wondering why there's this weird title of like new friend. Well, Rafiki is actually Swahili, and in English it means friend. And it's the friend of the wallets because it was introduced to be the all-in-one solution for Interledger wallets. It was introduced by COIL's founder and CEO, Stefan Thomas, already in 2021, and we've been working on it ever since. The reason we have Rafiki is because we've been talking to a lot of wallets, and they were like, well, implementing the ILP stack is very hard, running it is extremely expensive, and we don't really have time or money to maintain this thing. So we were like, well, we have the opportunity to help here, so we should create something that has, bundles ILPs. So if we look at wallets, how they are usually built up, and by wallets I mean something like a crypto wallet, but it could also be any kind of account providing service provider. They have some sort of identity provider that does like login, KYC, user management. They have an account service that allows those users to withdraw or deposit money, show balances and stuff like that. And then there's some sort of settlement. And then Rafiki can be placed in there to basically enable anything ILP related. Let's just do a little bit of recap of like how Interledger looks like. My slide is, I see something different. Oh. Okay, so here we have it. All right, so we have this hourglass kind of structure of how the Interledger stack looks like. On the bottom, we have the network layer, the settlement layer. So we have everything and anything that has value. So it could be fiat currency, cryptocurrency, mobile money, airline points, you name it, whatever is value to you. Then on top of that, we have ILP, the Interledger protocol, which packetizes the value. On top of that, we have the transport layer that we have the stream protocol there that basically defines how those packets are getting from A to B. And then finally, we have the application layer. We have SPSP that probably most of you have heard about. And then open payments, which is a fairly new application layer protocol that we have been working on very hard lately. And I'll go into detail what that is in a short bit. So Rafiki basically takes the top three. And I think there's a lag in the slides. Anyways, top three. All right, let me introduce open payments. Cool, so I'll do this with a story. So I'm there on the left side. I have some extra cash in my hand and I really like to go shoe shopping. I have, hopefully in the future, a Fameboss wallet that is ILP enabled and running Rafiki and has the open payments APIs. And then on the other side, I have this shoe shop. Mr. Smith owns it, and he also has an account and hopefully in the future a completely open payments enabled wallet, which is, I chose Uphold because I'm very confident and hopeful that they will also run Rafiki. So here I am, have my money, want to buy some shoes. So I do the checkout process, and on Shoe Shop I get the option to pay with open payments. And what I need to do is I put in my payment pointer, which is fameboss.me/Sabine. I hope I'm getting that. I'll get redirected on Shoe Shop to this kind of consent screen that basically asks me to give Shoe Shop access to access my account on Fameboss and to directly deposit the money from my account into their account. And I say, yes, I'll do that. sure, so I consent and give them that grant. Now, ShoeShop goes and does a request to their wallet, creating an incoming payment. An incoming payment is sort of like a placeholder for money to come in the future. It's like I try to visualize it like what you would see when you log into online banking and stuff like that. You see your incoming and outgoing transactions. The difference here is that you can already see those that are coming in the future. So these are the ones that are orange. So ShoeShop, while I was shopping, also Alice was shopping, and she's in the middle of doing this checkout process too. Bob and Grace have already purchased their shoes. Cool, incoming payment created. Now, ShoeShop goes and creates a quote that basically is just an estimate of how much the money transfer is going to be. And then they create an outgoing payment on my account. So outgoing payment, again, this bank visualization is basically anything that left my account. So first one is ShoeShop. I'm in the process of paying for my shoes. So they created the outgoing payment on my account to pull money to their account. The second one, I myself could have created an outgoing payment to repay Charlie. He gave me a bunch of baby clothes, and I was like, well, thank you very much. Here you have $50 for this big box of baby clothes. Another thing we can do with outgoing payments is have them recur. So the third one is I decided to give Coil a grant to access my bank account and to just withdraw their monthly subscription fee, directly get that from my account. And yeah, since I am based in Germany, it's euros, and instead of the $5, it's €5.02. And then the last example is open payments could even work in the real world, not the online world. So I could have walked into Yummy Donuts, got some donuts, and instead of swiping my credit card or paying with cash, as we still do in Germany, I could just be able to let them scan my my payment pointer that could be displayed as a QR code or something like that. So all of these things are possible. All right, and then quotes, like I said, that is basically to get an estimate of how much this transfer is going to be, because there's going to be fees on Interledger for exchange, but then also the wallet could add fees on top of that for facilitating this transfer. All right, so ShoeShop has gone and gotten the quote, and they created the outgoing payment. And that's all the interaction we need to do. Now the wallets start talking, and Faneboss sends the payment over to Uphold. And I get my shoes. So basically, open payments is a standardized way to access somebody else's account to send money. I have a slide that says that, but it's not shown. We have 4 concepts in outgoing payment: incoming payment, outgoing payment, the quote, and we also have connection. I haven't really talked about that. So the connection we introduced for web monetization specifically, because in web monetization, the way at least Coil deals with it right now is very privacy preserving. We don't store any browser history of any user, and we wanted to do we wanted to allow for that too in open payments. So if you do web monetization via open payments, you should still be able to abstract, not obscure all the information that the sending and receiving wallet don't really need. So basically all the sending wallet needs is some Interledger or stream connection credentials to connect, and that's it. They don't have to know who's been sending it, necessarily not which website they have been to and all this kind of things. So this is why a connection exists. All right, and then I've been talking about grants already, and that you need to consent to somebody accessing your wallet. And for that, we use a new authorization protocol, the Grant Negotiation Authorization Protocol. A short version of that is GNAP, which is considered to be the next generation of OAuth. It has been developed by the same people or people that have been very heavily involved in the OAuth space. And it is different in a few ways to OAuth that actually really favors the open payments protocol. So first of all, it doesn't do all those like different flows that you have in OAuth 2, but there's the same way to get a grant every way. You don't necessarily need a browser to get a grant and an access token. You can use something else, but with open payments right now, we have basically, we're using an opinionated version of GNAP that does need the browser. It minimalizes the front channel interaction. So most of it is service talking. It makes use of polymorphic JSON. Basically, we don't have a lot of different fields of different types, but a field can have a different type and just makes the request of a grant much cleaner. Also, the GNAP protocol has tokens that are bound to a key, so every request is signed by a private key in open payments, and for requesting a grant, you have to present a public key or at least a reference to a public key. And finally, there is no client registration necessary before starting the grant negotiation process, but it's an inline negotiation. All right, now I'll move on to the Rafiki architecture. And I don't know, is it me that we don't really see the slides at the right time? Okay, now this worked. Okay, so architecture. Again, I have this, like the image that I had earlier, I just made it bigger to be able to have more Rafiki related stuff in there. So we have the identity provider and the account service on top. The wallet has that. And then here we have Rafiki, just much bigger to zoom in. So like I said, Rafiki should be everything ILP. So obviously the core ILP infrastructure has to be there, so that's what we have in the Rafiki backend, and we also expose a stream endpoint for peers and for direct ILP users. We use Tigerbeetle as the a database for the balance logic, and I think the Tigerbeetle talk is right after mine, so you'll learn more about this amazing new database. And then we just use Redis for the stream connection details. Then we expose the open payments APIs for third parties to consume. And even though it's not really part of Rafiki, we still have a reference implementation of a GNAP auth server within the Rafiki package that uses a Postgres database for its grant data and interacts with the identity provider. And then finally, we have admin APIs, which are GraphQL APIs, whereas the Open Payments one are RESTful APIs that are for the wallet to interact with Rafiki itself. It's to create peers, create assets, even be able to create Open Payments payments, and withdraw or deposit money. And that's actually worth mentioning. Rafiki itself doesn't really hold the value for a very long time. So basically, use Famebus and Uphold again. We have Alex on the left, and Alice's account in Famebus's accounting service, and then Alice has an outgoing payment within Rafiki on Famebus, and then on the other side, there's Bob, who has an incoming payment in Uphold's Rafiki, waiting to be fulfilled, and then Bob's account outside of Rafiki. And Alice has $10 in her account, and this is being moved into Rafiki and kind of frozen on her account. Rafiki does its magic, sends it over to Uphold, and then we have webhooks communicating to the wallet, saying on Alice's Fanebuster side, I've sent the money, you can now deduct it from her balance, and then on Uphold's side, Bob has received the money, get it out and actually get it into Bob's account. So Bob got it. And that is it. That is the entire stack we have, which is not shown again. But it's not my HDMI cable. All right. That was the one that wasn't shown. So that's the entire architecture. And now it's demo time. The scary part. All right. So, should I make that bigger? So we have a local environment that basically spins up two mock account providers, bigger. Well, that looks weird now. Okay. Good. So we have two mock account providers, and they both have Rafiki running, and they automatically peer to each other, so they're ready to go. I can show you that they also already have accounts, so we seed accounts on them. So this one is the first one. We have 3 accounts on there. That must be bigger. Grace Franklin, Bird, Hamchest, and the World Best Donuts Company are all account holders at this mock account provider, and they have some balances in their accounts. And then the peer is here. The peer one has 2, it has Philip Fry, and then also Plan X Corporation that both have an account. All right, so like I said, we have some admin APIs, which are GraphQL. So I can show you those real quick. So these are all the query operations you can do. Query one asset, many assets, payment pointers, peers, payments, and quotes. And then we have a lot of mutations to create all kinds of things like peers, assets, payments, payment pointers, API keys, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I have here, the last thing I did was create a payment pointer. Let's see if that works. So remember that in the example we had Mr. Smith. So this is going to be Mr. Smith payment pointer, even though he doesn't have an account yet. So let's just assume Mr. Smith wants to be undercover and goes by Philip Fry. And now he decided he actually wants a clear name payment pointer. And that worked. So we've created another payment pointer that has not been linked to any account yet, so it wouldn't be visible on the mock account provider. The account provider himself would have to link this payment pointer to an existing account. All right. So these are the GraphQL admin APIs, and now let me show you the Open Payments APIs. Assuming this could be a little bit bigger too. All right, so first we have to request a grant to do anything. So I'm requesting a grant to create an incoming payment on, this is, I think, the peer, the peer account provider. The client that is requesting the grant is the shoe shop. It has his key, his public key attached to the grant request, and it's defining how the user should be interacting with this grant request, if at all. For incoming payments, we've decided to make those non-interactive, so there is no user that has to say, yes, I grant this client access to specifically be able to create an incoming payment. So we get the grant with the access token right away. This is what the grant looks like. It basically has access token value. It has an endpoint to manage the access token, to do updates to the grant. And then you could also, actually the continue one is to do upgrades. Up here is to the manage one is to revoke the access token. All right, so let's see if that works, and I can create an incoming payment of 33.64 USD. That's what Grace paid for her shoes at Shoe Shop. So Shoe Shop is creating this now. And here we have it. So nothing has been received yet on this incoming payment, but we are expecting there to be $33.64 US whenever Grace decides to pay. Okay, next on the other side, we now have to create the quote and the outgoing payment. So I'm here requesting a grant to do both of these things. So first of all, I requested to create a quote and then also an outgoing payment. This outgoing payment has some limits. So the receive amount is the $33.64, and the send amount, the maximum I would like to spend is $36. That's due to the fees. So it's the LP network fees plus the wallet fees. So here, user interaction is required. The grant isn't issued right away. So when you go to this consent screen, Shoe Shop wants to send $33.64 to its account. This will cost you $36. Do you consent? I do. And then the continue would redirect you to the Shoe Shop website. We don't have that, so we get something not so pretty. But we need the interaction ref here to continue the grant request, and I'm not very good at the trackpad, as Travis knows. All right, so we'll continue the grant request. That's basically we know that the user has consented to the grant, so we want to have the access token. And we do that, and we get the access token right here, and this will allow us to now create the quote and the outgoing payment. So I'll create the quote real quick. So it's expected to cost me actually $35.65, and I'm creating the outgoing payment. And that worked. It makes me very happy that the demo worked. When we now go back to this accounts, it should show here. So Grace now only has $6.36 left because she spent the rest on shoes. She's like me. And then Philip Fry is the account I used. Like I said, Mr. Smith doesn't want to go by his name. He goes by Philip Fry. Has the $33.65 now because he had 1 cent before. It was close to being bankrupt. Right, so I kind of didn't mention yet, like the demo worked, but not everything is working in open payments yet, and unfortunately. So like I said earlier, that every request has to be signed. We're still implementing the signature generation and validation part. So we're building a library. Actually, Max at the ILF is spearheading that does the signature generation. And then we at COIL are currently working on signature validation within Rafiki. So that is disabled right now, and we do have the headers in the request already, but they are to do. That's still in progress. All right, so that was the demo. And now let me finish with the use case examples. So this is, not this, but it will come up. Well, what you will see is an actual screenshot from my Uphold account where I have received some web monetization payments. And I would like there to be a future, oh, here we go, where it's not just the incoming payments, but we should be able to also send from our Interledger-enabled wallets. So I want there to be something like this, where I send €5, $5 right now is the same to somebody. Then that was my shoe shop example. Obviously, one great use case is e-commerce payments or subscription payments, recurring payments. There should be something like checkout with Interledger or checkout with open payments. We still have to decide how to frame that. And then finally, what I think is pretty cool is that you should be able to also, to also connect your Interledger-enabled wallet to apps. So I'm not a big gamer myself, but I have friends that are, and like sometimes in games, like to get anywhere, you have to buy some coins. You have to buy them in bulk. You don't use all of them. The value is lost. What an Interledger-enabled wallet could do is you could directly connect to this wallet in the game, and whenever you buy anything within the game, it gets directly deducted from your balance at your account, and you don't have to have like some coins there and some whatever there. So that's like the thing I'm most excited about. I want to thank all the people that have been working on Rafiki. So far, there is a lot of question marks down there, and we'll have a hack room back there. So if you want to be one of the next contributors, we're very happy to have you. I especially want to thank Brandon and Nathan for like putting in the last fixes last night. So thank you very much. And that concludes the Rafiki talk. I'm happy to take questions if there are any, or I don't know if that's part of the format. Maybe I didn't read all the emails.
Okay. I think if we can get the microphone from the back, we can take questions. We have some time. You're very, very fast. We have some time. We can take questions. Let me find the microphone. Anyone with a question, raise your hand. There's two microphones in the room. Yes, we can take questions. I didn't read the emails yet. So anyone with a question? Silence.
If you're shy, I'll be in the hack room later, and then I'll answer questions there.
Carl, be a doll. Step to a microphone so everybody can hear you, including your friends from the live stream.
How's it going?
Hi.
Well, one, congratulations. I know this has been a labor of love and a lot of energy and a lot of people putting in work. So just wanted to, one, take a moment and just shout out the team and really congratulate y'all. I think this is amazing work.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
I was just curious on 2 points. So one was why the need for the quote? If you have the sort of the invoice coming in the first place, then what is the purpose of the quote? Is that for the gas fees, I guess? And then what was the gap between so approving the higher amount above and beyond the actual invoice amount, right? So it's like 33 and some change, but then the consumer approved at 35. So is that gap, is that basically transaction fees? And then sort of in a normal environment, would that basically be, you know, think about it like a shopping cart, I guess is how it kind of runs in my mind. So, here's your cost and these are your fees, and then that's what you're consenting to, basically. Is that right?
Yeah, well, thank you very much for that question. I should have mentioned that. So yeah, I did also in the demo, I did the quote and the outgoing payment thing in grant request in one step. But we just talked about it this morning that this should probably be 2 steps, and you would probably want to do the quote request, the grant request first, then get your quote, then use what you get in there on the consent screen, and then do your grant request for the outgoing payment and do the outgoing payment. One could, however, also say that as soon that Interledger is the thing and everybody's using that and paying via it, the wallets should have a pretty good idea of how much a payment is going to cost them. So we could actually, not require quoting for the consent screen, but the wallets basically make a guess about that and could actually charge users to do to visibly do the quote. But like you said, the quote is there to find out first of all what are the network fees, and then on top of that, what is the wallet charging for this transaction.
Anyone else with a question? Yes, please step up to a microphone.
Hi, my name is Costa Peric. I just had a question on the sequence of things and the need for certain other things. So if I understand correctly, in the open payments, there is a quote, then there is a creation of an incoming payment on the receiving side, and then, if I understand correctly, the sending side has to open their wallet for someone else to come and pull the money. Is that right?
Yes. So the sending wallet allows a third party to create an outgoing payment on somebody else's account if they have access rights to do so.
Like in the big trend in the payments industry right now is for push payments, so that I expose the minimum amount of my own account and information, and that no one else has access, basically. So why is the need to open my wallet to others?
You don't necessarily have to do that. Pull payments is one way of doing it. In the checkout process, you could also have something like in my example, the shoe shop could just display a link to an incoming payment, basically their invoice. They expect money to that, and I take that, go to my Interledger-enabled wallet, put that in there somewhere, and send the money as a push payment. That's also possible, but I still have the impression that a lot of people use PayPal, credit cards, whatever for e-commerce payments, and that's why we introduced pull payments.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Costa. Any more questions? Raise your hand. Feel free. Don't be shy. Okay. Yes. Step up to a microphone.
I'm Adetunji from Bowie State University. This is just a follow-up on the question he raised. I want to find out about what's the main objective of Rafiki? Who is the target at? What are you doing differently from what is obtainable currently? Finally, why will user buy into it?
So Rafiki is not there for a user, it's there for wallets to become Interledger enabled, or any sort of account providing service provider. So it could be a bank, or it could be a mobile money provider. They could run Rafiki to connect their customers through the Interledger network to other value things. That was a very bad term. So it's there for wallets to use. It's not necessarily there for end users. I don't know if I answered your entire question. It was 4 things, and I'm not very good at remembering. while on stage.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Any more questions? Yes. Step up to a microphone, please.
My name is Renee. I'm a CEO and founder of GateHub, one of the currently Interledger supported wallet. My question is, when is this going to be available?
That's a very good question.
Do not commit on stage. I repeat, do not commit on stage. In 6 months. It's going to be ready in 6 months.
You know, there's a big dependency, and that is Tigerbeetle. So, Joran, I'm very interested. When is Tigerbeetle ready? Yeah. So we are, like I said, we're still working on the signature stuff, and I very much, like, we're close. I hope that to be done by end of this year, such that we have an alpha release. But that's alpha. Like, expect there to be dragons.